my presentation. Could you please approve that it is visible?
Yes, we see. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. And so the final part of today will be about the template, keywords, and the abstract. But I have put some other things a bit more. And so let's start. So in the call of Marijas Kirī Postdoctoral Fellowships, there are three main parts of the proposal. So first part is part A. So these are only administrative parts where you need to fill the information about the people involved, institutions involved. You need to put all the necessary numbers when it comes to the budget. So you need to fill in the hosting country. If you're eligible for the family allowance, the budget will be calculated there. So I always suggest not to put filling in information in the portal to the very, very first day, as there might be also some parts that it's not clear for you what to put in there. So just give yourself a time. So start, well, not at the very beginning if you don't have that kind of information, but at least not to leave for the very first days, as it also takes time to fill in these forms, and from time to time there are technical issues in the portal, and then you don't have a chance to fill in. So just be careful, be on the safe side also with the part A, as there are also some important things that you need to fill in. That is, of course, the abstract that we will talk about, keywords. This is all mentioned and put in the part A. Then there is part B1 and part B2. So the core of your project, so the scientific part and the impact part and the implementation part. So this all comes into part B1. So this is the board form that you download as a template in the portal. You fill in and then convert to the PDF and upload again in the portal. But the problem here is that you only have 10 pages to cover all the aspects required. And that is why I always talk about this SMART approach and being really precise and knowing what you want to do there. As this is not much. 10 pages is really not much, but you really need to address quite much, both in the excellence part, impact, implementation. Also, you need to put a Gantt chart, or if you choose another timeline of your project. So this is quite a challenge for every applicant. That is why you need to start earlier, to maybe write more, and then to cut it and make it more precise for the final proposal. And part B, this is the part where a postdoctoral fellow puts his or her CV. And also there's a table for the participating organizations. Sorry, today something is happening with me. So there's a table to fill in about the institution, about the participating institution, about the arrangements, experience in project, administration, and so on. And the good thing here in part B is that there's no overall page limit. Of course, it is not suggested that you put there, I don't know, 30 pages, of course, but a few pages about each participating organizations is fine, as you also need to stick to the things that are really relevant to the postdoctoral fellowship. It's not necessary to put everything about every institution, only the relevant things here about participating organizations. So this is not only the hosting institution. If you foresee a secondment or a non-academic placement, this is also about these organizations. And for the global fellowship, of course, there is this host for the outgoing phase in the third country. That also requires a letter of commitment that needs to be filled in and uploaded in the part B2. So when navigating all the submission process and following step by step, so I have another suggestion. For me, I think it's really good because there are all the screenshots provided step by step in the portal, what to click, what to open, what to fill in here. So this is a submission guide made by Project Radiance. Feel free to use it. This might help you in filling in the part A, so the administrative forms. Again, coming back to these other questions, as also from my experience, I see that this is the thing, and this is the section where most of the applicants misunderstand something or cannot find how to assess the ethical questions. Just a reminder again about these additional questions. So there is a question number 6 on additional ethical information. So first thing that everyone should do is to assess ethics. So under the question mark that I told you already, or I believe in current years, there's also, it was brought out of the question mark, but there is this document, ethics self-assessment. Your task is to open self-assessment document. This is a PDF. Go through the checklist there. And this is how you will know what ethical questions you need to address. There will be also examples what should be put in the case you have personal data or people involved or interviews or whatever. So this is your helper in understanding ethical issues and what to put there. Another thing is on security screening. And this is also only relevant to those who have these questions in their proposal addressed. So only if you answer yes to some of the security questions, only then you need to address these questions. Then there are environmental considerations in light of the MSCA Green Charter. There's this guidance on MSCA Green Charter where you can see what might be addressed under this. I think this is very good to understand because it is put in a blocks, very easy to navigate this Green Charter. And looking at these examples, you may also think if something is relevant to your proposal. So in these cases, when other questions, you need to think if relevant to your proposal. And here also, so for the global fellowships, remember about the letter of commitment. Another thing in the portal part A, I just wanted to explain difference between two warnings. At some point when you start submitting your proposal and filling in the part A, please press the validate button. And in this case, you might receive two types of errors. So the red error is the worst one. So this will block and you will not be able to submit the proposal. This means that some crucial, critical part of your proposal is missing. For example, you have not uploaded part B1, or you have not put the contacts of your hosting institution. Some really big issues have not addressed. So that is why the portal is blocking you from submitting. So you will not be able to submit. But it is a bit more interesting with the yellow warnings, as sometimes we see that yellow warnings remain until the end of submission, but not always you as a proposer need to do something. Sometimes there's just a reminder, which actually looks like a yellow warning. But anyways, always check what is about. So these warnings. In some cases, maybe something technical happens and something is really not saved. And that is why you need to check this. And I recommend it doing not only before the submission, but from time to time, check if you have filled in some new information, save it and validate, just to be on the safe side that you don't need to worry about the technical part. When we talk about the project acronym, maybe someone thinks that it's not important, but in reality, we see that some people are really brainstorming for a very long time and not being able to finally finalize the acronym of their project. And sometimes people leave the title of the project for the last minute, and then you need to transform your full title to the acronym. And here are some tips, so to say, for your acronym. project acronym. First of all, it needs to be really easy, short, pronounceable, kind of understandable about your research topic. Always a suggestion is to check whether this acronym don't have any double meaning. So doesn't this mean something rude or irrelevant or not nice? So just to be on the safe side, it's always nice to check. If you think about something new in your acronym, for example, if you see these examples on the left side, for example, sunshine, we all see what it means in English. I don't know if it's possible to have other meaning in other languages. We don't know, as we have so many languages in the world, but just to be on the safe side, always nice to check. And there's also a page, acronym creator, where you can check if this acronym is already used. It's not forbidden to use the acronym if it's used already. We see some projects in different MSCA projects that are repeating. Maybe it works for more people, but this is also important to choose the right acronym, and it will be used everywhere. Everywhere you will go with a funded project, acronym goes first. This is like your business card. So feel about yourself. So do you like it, and will you be able to mention it everywhere? When we talk about the abstract, so the biggest surprise here usually is that this is not a scientific abstract. I will show you a full abstract of a funded project, and you will see the feeling about how most people create abstract in the postdoctoral fellowships. So abstract is very important, as abstract together with the keywords is used for selecting evaluators. So again, asking you, so are you interested in having right evaluators to your proposal? Yes. So that is why you need to have the right abstract and right information in the abstract and the keywords to select the right people. So people who will be able to understand what about is your project. And mentioned already before that these evaluators will be generalists. So they might not be an expert in your specific research question, but they will be able to understand what are you proposing. So that is why also this form of abstract is in a bit easier language. When we talk about abstract, this is also a quite hard task to have everything put in 200 words or symbols. We'll see in the next slide, but this is a very short business card of your project that holds together significance, impact, timing, and so the general information about your project. That is why abstract is very important. Here I am just showing what is the average formula of how people are writing their own abstracts. So 1-2 sentences about the general context of the project, the purpose of the project, the state of the art or knowledge gap, or both, and the objectives and the working plan a bit. Yes, so maximum 2,000 characters. So this means also spaces and dots and so on. And let's see. So the abstract from the funded project, all the words here in purple or blue in the text. So this is put by me. I just want to show you that really here, when you're reading the abstract, there is no sentence without the meaning. So every word, every sentence matters. And this is like the perfect version of how I propose that you might work on your abstract. So here in this proposal, this is a project about, proposed by a postdoc with his supervisor at the hosting institution. So this is in Sweden, to study virus-host interactions in the Baltic Sea. So in this project, the title is kind of short. And also in this abstract, it is showed how the acronym was made. So the big letters are, so the cap letters are showing how the acronym was made. So, and then the proposer puts an importance in one sentence about the project in next sentence. So using state-of-the-art metagenomics, viromics, and bioinformatics, the fellow will uncover novel genomes of the virus population in the Baltic Sea. So here in one sentence is covered, so the interdisciplinarity, so different methods combined, the aim of the fellowship, and a bit of the novelty. So what novel will be studied? And again, the methods are mentioned, and so the output. So what is the result of the, so what will be studied? So we will combine to uncover virus host dynamics. So what will be studied basically? So the result in the next slide. So this is the continuation of the abstract, and here the proposer has chosen to put down the fundamental questions. So this also differs from research field to research field. I've seen some examples where a postdoc has some preliminary data, and he or she proposes a hypothesis that he will test within the fellowship. Some put down these fundamental questions. Some put down research objectives. So this is really up to you, to a postdoctoral fellow. So what is relevant to your research? Putting down hypothesis if you don't have any information that you're building on this hypothesis, then there is no need to put a hypothesis. Then you need the research question. So, well, I believe you know already how this works. Just showing one of the approaches. And the next sentence in this part, so the postdoc shows the impact and importance again combined. So these questions have major implications for bio, geochemical cycling and resource turnover in the marine biosphere, as well as water resource management and predicting ecological responses to climate change. So again, we can see the meaning of each sentence. And in the last slide, I'm showing the third part of the abstract. And in this part, as you can see, the focus is not on the research, on research methods, etc., but on the career perspective, skills development, and the hosting institution. So this is also nice to address these things in the abstract. And here, what was really nice to see that the postdoc showed that the hosting institution has this HR award. So this is an excellence award for human resource. So if your hosting institution has anything like this, mentioning it will always be a good idea. So that was about the abstract and one of the examples. You may also read many more and filter by the thematics, these research abstracts in the Cordis page, or I showed you already where to find funded projects under funding and tenders portal. So if you're interested in seeing how in your research field others do this, then please feel free to check funded projects and also read their abstracts. Now we are turning to part V1. So this is the shortest part of the B part. B1 is only up to 10 pages. Already told you that this is, you download the Word document, then fill in the Word document, convert it to the PDF, and then upload. And this part covers 3 evaluation criteria, so excellence, impact, and implementation. An important part is to follow the template, as also the template structure is based on the evaluation criteria, so that the evaluators can easily spot, have you addressed this subcriterion or not? So this is the approach chosen by the European Commission, and this works really good. And I hope this is also understandable also for the applicants. Sometimes we see that postdocs change the place where they put some information. From the evaluator's point of view, it's a must for them to evaluate the information in the proposal as whole. So if you put something from the impact in the implementation, evaluators should see it and score it anyways, even though you have changed the place. But from the point of view of findability, so this is not the nicest thing, as you know, evaluators have not only one proposal to read, they do not have a lot of time to read one proposal. So you help them to read your proposal if you're putting the right information where it's requested. So my suggestion would be to follow the template and not to change places, as it will be easier for evaluators to understand that, yes, this in this project, this aspect is addressed, and he or she can give you the points. So this would be from the practical point of view about changing places where you put the different kind of information. And also in the template, at the first part of the template, you have instructions. And the second part is like the clear template where you can really put your information. So if it's helpful for you, print out the template, the instruction part. And at the end, of course, you will delete it from your project. So this is about the parts. Tomorrow, we will go through one by one, specifically each part of part B1 with some examples and what should be addressed in each part. Here, I only have mentioned you like the key topics, what is under each part of this. Award criteria, so I'm not going to read out loud these criteria. You are able to find them on the work program. But just to have a brief understanding on how important each criterion is. So I already mentioned that excellence has a 50% of weight on the final score. As you can also see here from the sub-criterion point of view, that there are more to evaluate under excellence. A bit less in impact, and the least is in the implementation part. But what I want to mention is that it doesn't mean that you need to focus only on excellence and leave behind other parts. As we already saw that it's a competition and you need to have all parts addressed really well. So please do not make this mistake that focusing only on excellence part, perfect excellence part, but then skipping or leaving behind the impact and implementation, as the points will be given for all the parts. That was part B1, only 10 pages. But then there is this part B2, which has no overall page limit. But anyways, there is a recommendation for maximum pages. So for the CV of the researcher, it's recommended not to have more than 5 pages. For the capacity of all the organizations involved, this is 1 page overall plus 1 page per organization. And the letter of commitment, well, there's a template and you don't have actually a chance to go over. When it comes to the CV of the researcher, I also have some suggestions what to put here and what not to put. So the biggest mistake would be that you focus on publications and put a huge list of publications or huge list of one thing. So the best approach here is to have like a variety in your proposal, addressing both the publications so the recommendation is to put up to 5, not more. And another thing is to have a qualitative explanation. So to have 2 lines of text describing your role or what did you do in this publication, just to have this qualitative assessment next to your list. Also, as the Marijas Kirī Postdoctoral Fellowships is a mobility program, it is also very recommended for you as a postdoctoral fellow to show your previous experience. So are you open to the world? Have you already had previous short stays, conferences, any other field work or exchange or mobility before the fellowship? So showing this is also very important. As evaluators will see your openness and your so to say initiative that you did this already before postdoctoral fellowship. if you have supervised anyone, this is also a very good part, putting supervision, teaching, peer reviewing, organization of workshops, conferences. So any kind of your initiative that you did. So this is also the good putting in the CV, as this really shows your transferable skills, your leadership skills, your willingness in doing things, and so on. Important thing is about the career breaks. So maternity leaves, work in private sector, if anyone had a long-term sick leave. So please do not leave this just as a period that is there. It is very encouraged to explain. So why is this not in your working experience in academia? So what have you done there? If it's, for example, working outside of academia in the private sector. Just could you please switch on your microphone? Yes, thank you. So also, I don't know, 1-2 sentences if you have about this career break, or maybe one would be also good. And for example, other things, travel grants, fellowships, prizes, honors, or whatever. And as also in Marijas Sklodovskas Kirī Postdoctoral Fellowships, we will have focus on communication, dissemination, public outreach, and so on. So if you have ever done something like this, the science slams, writing a blog, school visits, researchers' night, any kind of communication that you have about research or being involved in these communication things, also you are invited to mention. This is just a good sign, and you're showing your initiative and that you're ready and you're suitable for postdoctoral fellowships, as also communication is one of the elements that is important in this call. Practically, so when we talk about part B2, there's a template for the organizations. So capacities, and this is basically what is requested under part B2. There's table 5.2, and you can see also that the list of potential hosts and the information that you need to address under these each section. Can you please turn off the microphone? I can hear someone. Yeah, thank you. Yes. So this is again why it is important to communicate with your hosts. So if you have more than one, so not only hosting institution, but for example, secondment host, communicating with them and receiving all this information that is needed in your proposal. Then I would like to talk about two-way transfer of knowledge. This is important, but not always understood. That is why I have some examples. So let me see. I have some examples for you to understand what is a good knowledge transfer and what is not. So first of all, this is not only a postdoctoral fellow going to a host institution and taking from the host institution and the supervisor. This is also about giving. So this is a two-way transfer of knowledge. And I have actually prepared 5 different examples. And if some of you are interested, you may open your microphone and say, what do you think? Is this a good or a bad example? So first example sounds like this. The researcher will gain new skills by working with his host world-class experts and will attend seminars to improve their career research profile. End of the example. So how do you think? Is this a good example of two-way transfer of knowledge?
It's a one-way transfer, and also it could be more specific.
Exactly. I didn't saw who was speaking, but you are exactly right. This is exactly what I have here under my example. So this is a bad example. First, as it was too vague. So it was just a sentence, a statement, basically. And please do avoid putting a statement in your proposal. As there was not mentioning which new skills. So what exactly is going to postdoc to obtain? Which experts? So what are the experts? Names, fields. So what are these experts? And which seminars, of course. This is too vague and this says nothing. This just shows to other letters that you're not ready. You have no idea what you're going to do. Okay, so the second example sounds like this. The host institution will provide the researcher with access to state-of-the-art equipment and high-quality supervision to ensure the project's success. End of the example. Anyone interested in commenting? No?
Well,
okay.
Now it became two-way transfer of knowledge, or let's say of support. So the university provides their help and allows the researcher commit to the project that was supposed to happen. But again, the state of the art, like it's rather too generic.
Yes. Thank you very much. Yes, exactly. You're exactly right. So you spotted what is missing here. So this sounds a bit better than the first example. But again, we talk about two-way transfer of knowledge, and this was the example that I provided. So the full example, not one part of it. So that is why here is missing the other part. So this only says that that the researcher will be given something. But what about the other way around? What the researcher will, so the postdoctoral fellow, what experience he has or she, and what will be the other direction. So the third example will be a bit bigger. So it sounds like this. The researcher brings 6 years of expertise in Bayesian climate modeling, which is currently a missing competency in the host's research group. The fellow will introduce a new automated data processing pipeline developed during his PhD. This will be institutionalized through a series of 3 hands-on workshops for a host's doctoral students, permanently enhancing the group's capacity to handle large-scale longitudinal datasets. End of the example. What about this one?
Well, it's rather good because it provides a lot of details, and it also mentions that what the postdoc brings will create capacity at the hosting institution, and potentially this could also give benefit to a postdoc by, let's say, co-working on the project. So the postdoc creates the capacity which will further help him or her in his work, and it means they will also co-write publications. So maybe what could be better developed is how this build capacity could give benefit to the postdoc, but the fact that it is now more specific is good.
Yes, exactly. So also I would say that, yes, this is kind of good. I would accept this kind of knowledge transfer, as this is very specific and this is really clear what exactly will be done. The hidden part here, what was not mentioned, is the teaching, right? That postdoc will gain. By teaching others, you gain, you also learn. This is a hidden part that was not mentioned here. But otherwise, so just for you to get the feeling that when you're thinking about two-way transfer of knowledge, try to really mention what exactly, specifically, what kind of skills, how many workshops, how many meetings or whatever. So try to be specific. And this was from this example. So the fourth is also a bit longer. So the host institution technology transfer office will provide the fellow with mentored training in patent filing and intellectual property management. In return, the fellow, drawing on his previous experience in the private sector, will lead a science to business seminar series for the department, fostering a culture of entrepreneurship and helping the host identify commercialization pathways of ongoing projects. End of the example.
Well, here we clearly see what each part gains. So I would say it's a good one.
Exactly, yeah. I also like this one the best, as you can see both parts. And the final fifth example, this is shorter a bit. Since the researcher is already an expert in X-ray diffraction, they will continue to apply his expertise to the host samples to produce high impact papers. End of the example.
No, because it implies no teaching, no growth for postdoc. It just a usage of his already developed capacities and knowledge. So it's one direction transfer.
Exactly, exactly. And there is no such a growth to see, as we also want in this project to see what the postdoc will learn. So what new skills, but if he is using already the skills he has, so there is not that much to agree on that the growth will be there. So exactly this, I would also say that no, please don't put it like this. So to summarize this knowledge transfer, just to show you the way of thinking. So what to not to do, focusing only on the research, as you also need to gain these new skills, as we have mentioned already many times, gaining and giving new skills. So this is a two-way of knowledge. Give specific details, so be specific, not saying new techniques, but really naming what is the technique. So the approach from the hosting institution is that the host gets a hard worker. So this is the wrong approach and wrong mindset. You need to think of a postdoc that he is a specialist in the field that you will get. So this is your expert, your specialist that you will attract in benefit of your own growth and your research teams. So when we talking about the growth, the fifth example showed that a very bad example is just repeating what you already know. So there's no growth, but diversifying into a new area, learning new methods, learning how to work with new infrastructure or something on this direction, this is a better approach. And of course, I would also like to pay attention. It is possible to distinguish between passive and active transfer of knowledge. So informal exchange, such as we're just gonna meet there in a break and have a coffee and chat about, so what do you know, what was your approach, and so on. This is not a good approach. This is a passive exchange of knowledge. Of course, you're always encouraged to talk and chat about what each part knows and what each part has, but of course it needs to be active. So whether organizing workshops, mentoring, creating some new practices or whatever. So really working on this transfer. Then I have some examples on horizontal aspects. Let me just find the right page where I put this. I wanted to show you some good or bad examples. Wait. Just lost my examples somewhere. So this is about, oh, I think I have it. Okay. First is about open science. No, just a second. Okay, sorry, but I have found it. So I have good and bad examples also on this part, so about open science practices. So first example sounds like this. We will comply with Horizon Europe mandates by publishing in open access journals and uploading that data to a repository. So this is not the best approach, only because of the one thing, as publishing in open access under Horizon Europe is a mandatory thing. If you're interested in publishing in other types of journals, so which are not providing open access, then this is not gonna be covered under from Marija budget. So this is not a good approach to say that you will publish in open access, as this is a mandatory by default. A better approach is when we talk about uploading data to some of the repositories, naming exactly specific repositories. Is it Zenodo, Dataverse, or whatever? The second example sounds like this. The project will adopt open by default strategy, ensuring all research outputs are fair. So fair meaning it's findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. And this is a better approach, as you're answering already to some of the requirements that are requested by the Commission, and it's evaluated. So when we talk about gender dimension, so one of the things that applicants misunderstand from the beginning is that this is not about gender balance in the research teams. It is about gender dimension in your research context. So this is the first thing that I wanted to tell you. And my first example is like this. We will analyze how gender affects urban transport usage. So if anyone wants to jump in, so do you think it's a good example or a bad example?
Well, I think it is bad. Mm-hmm. I feel some discriminative narrative there. Mm-hmm. So it should be formulated in another way, more, let's say, formal.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you're exactly right. This is not a good approach. And why is this bad? Because this is too narrow. In this case, when we talk about the transport usage, this example ignores other diversity aspects. For example, a 20-year-old woman uses transport differently than a 70-year-old, right? So this is also about different kind of age gaps, disabilities, and so on. So this is not only saying that gender will analyze how gender affects, as there are other aspects. And also here at the title, you can see that other diversity aspects. This is not only about gender, which is also one of the mistakes that people make. Second example, the project has been critically evaluated for its gender dimension, as the research focuses on the fundamental properties of subatomic particles. The scientific results are independent of biological or social gender. However, the researcher will ensure that the dissemination and communication phase follows gender-neutral language and promotes diversity in STEM to encourage underrepresented groups to encourage with these findings. What about this?
Yeah.
This example?
Yeah, I think it's a good one because it replies exactly to what is expected in this section, that there will be analysis, that the research outputs will be also analyzed in terms of gender, but let's say it is also described in an ethical way. So it is rather correct to me.
Yes, exactly. That is true. And also, especially in STEM fields, this underrepresentation of one of the genders and communicating the results and focusing on this underrepresented group is also one of the approach that might be addressed in the proposal. So I would also say that, yes, this is a good example. Next two examples I have about the research, integrity, and ethics. So first example that although this project does not involve human participants, biological samples or animal testing, it strictly adheres to the European Code of Conduct of Research for Research Integrity. Is this fine?
Could you repeat, please?
Although this project does not involve human participants, biological samples, or animal testing, it strictly adheres to the European Code of Conduct for Research Integrity.
Well, I am not familiar with the European Code of Research, but it doesn't seem, because those variables, that information is allowed. Animal research is also allowed, so I don't understand a bit the logic of the statement.
Well, I will explain. This is really good that you said that you're not familiar with the European Code of Conduct. So first of all, this is a good example, as it was mentioned, that this project do not cover any of these things. The project content is not involving human participants. It's not involving any biological samples or animal testing. So this is what the applicant is saying, that we don't have this, and this in project. But anyways, we will take into account the good practice that is stated in this Code of Conduct. And this is also what I wanted to tell you with this example, that one of the biggest mistakes in proposals is that people put that no, ethics and research integrity is not relevant to my proposal and that. Even though you're not addressing any of these in your research content, that mentioning that you are familiar with this policy, with this Code of Conduct, can give you, for the evaluators, the impression that you are aware of what this thing is about. So that is why this example is good, because we have different fields of science, we have different aspects involved, and that is why this Code of Conduct basically is like a recommendation on how you should work. So research ethics and integrity is about also how you manage your data, how you validate them, and so on. So this is about the good approach in research. That is why if you see that you don't have any of these aspects kind of strongly that you can address in your proposal, then mentioning and referring to Code of Conduct is always a good idea. This is from my side. And yeah, already told you that the second example from my side under the research integrity and ethics is that there are no ethical issues in the project and it is purely theoretical. So this is a no-go. At least mention that even though you don't have any of these issues, that you will mention this Code of Conduct, as this is a good practice. And of course, if you're willing, just take a look, an overview about what it is about. And the final part is about the intellectual property rights. So first example is that there is nothing mentioned at all under this topic. So nothing here. It's even not mentioned that it's not relevant to a proposal, but like there is nothing put at all. So this is also a wrong approach, and please don't do this. If you see that some of the aspects are not relevant to your research, then you need to mention it. That you have thought about these aspects and closely studying. You don't have these aspects in your proposal, so you don't need to address them. But when it comes to research integrity, you mentioned that you will adhere the Code of Conduct, and for the IP. So as the first example is the bad one, so the second is kind of better, so to say, and it sounds like this: the fellow will receive training from the European IP Help Desk and the host Technology Transfer Office. So even if you're not familiar with what it is about, you're not a legal representative, you're not a lawyer, so it's okay that you're not aware of what this IPR is about, but claiming that you will go to the training and learn about this, so what it is, and also for you as a postdoctoral researcher, you will become more independent in your future. So this is important for you at least to understand what is relevant in this field to your research. So just some recommendations, some directions from my side on the horizontal. Yep.
Excuse me, may I please ask about ethics and IPR? If I understood well, in order to get the maximum ranking, the points in this section, it is advised to refer to certain regulations. So my question is, where can I find the latest list of regulations which I should cover in the ethics section and in the IPR? Because, of course, as in your last example, I could write that once I am admitted and I work with the university, I will get support. But from what I feel, it is always better to be more concrete and in advance to think under which regulations my research will fall and to mention them.
Can we leave it for tomorrow? Because I will talk a bit more about these topics.
Yes, I didn't know that we planned to discuss. Yes, thank you.
So I will have some parts, and if you see that you have more questions, then we'll continue tomorrow, right?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I have some to show you. Like for ethics, one of the things I already explained, to understand if you have to address or no some ethical issues, you need to find in the portal ethics self-assessment document. There is a checklist. You need to read it. So read the examples. So if you have personal data, yes or no, you can check there, yes or no. And this is how you will understand if you need to address anything in your ethical part. When it comes to research integrity, so code of conduct is one of the documents that you need to mention. But yes, tomorrow we'll go more in details in each proposal part. So then we will talk a bit more in details about this. So for now, let's leave it. So next example I wanted to show you is about the MSCA Green Charter. Maybe you don't remember this, but I mentioned that there is under other questions this MSCA Green Charter. So considerations from your side, and also if many projects receive the same amount of score, then there is this net that first of all the excellence part is viewed. So who has higher scores is ranked higher. Impact, then there was, I believe, gender balance, non-academic, and then Green Charter comes in. So what here, so you don't need to write something very big or huge, but here are blocks of examples. So the types of activities that you might consider. And if something is relevant, so you see that you may reduce some kind of travel and have some meetings online instead. This is also a valid example that you might put. Yeah, so I invite you to read this. There is also one translated into Latvian. So for the Latvian hosting institutions, for the project units, you may also see it in Latvian. And I believe there was also a document with examples, or maybe this was in this Green Charter. But anyways, this is not, you don't need to put a paragraph about this. This is only mentioning Green Charter and mentioning few examples. So how is your approach? What would be your actions to help this MSCA Green Charter? Oh, and that's it.